According to DC's school districts at the time, my graduation from Bancroft Elementary School in the city's Mount Pleasant neighborhood should have been followed by my attendance at Abraham Junior High School, a few blocks south of our home. There was just one problem with this regulation as far as my mother was concerned. Kids at Lincoln got stabbed. Now, I'm not sure how often child stabbings occurred at this educational institution, but the fact that Lincoln had such a reputation, coupled with my penchant for getting bored in the classroom due to finishing my work early, led my mother to look for alternate schooling. Because my older sister had attended private or at least specialized schooling, Catholic school, a magnet school, and a public arts school, my mother felt that I too should have the benefits of a non-public education. Thus began my tour of Washington area schools. The first was Georgetown Day School. Now, all I remember from my visit is making some really shitty pottery in an art class. Now, I'm sure they did other things at that school like math and English and scientific method, but I just remember that shitty piece of pottery. Now, the second school I visited was called Green Acres, and it had 3 strikes against it. Strike 1, the name. Green Acres? I mean, that sounds like a rehab center for matrimonially challenged politicians. Now, that name was just a bit too soft for a black kid from the city. Now, speaking of soft, my initial interest in the school was based on entirely a crush that I had on a girl from my church. Never a good reason to make a 6-year commitment. Strike 2, building design. I mean, the school had no hallways, and by which I mean that the classrooms all had doors to the outside, and kids walked outdoors to get to one class to the next. Now, I later learned that this is a common design in warm places like Southern California and Hawaii, but Green Acres was in Bethesda, Maryland, whose climate offers 3 full months a year with average low temperatures at or below freezing. Now, strike 3, the worst basketball game I've ever seen. Now, the day that I visited, Green Acres had a boys' basketball game. Now, I was shocked to find that the boys' team had a girl starting. Bravo! And she was the best player. What? And Green Acres lost the game 50-2. Now, even though I wasn't a fan of basketball, I refused to go to a school that could get his ass so thoroughly whipped. Now, with Georgetown Day and Green Acres failing to meet my standards, the remaining school was Sidwell Friends. Yes. The school is now famous for educating Chelsea Clinton and Malia and Sasha Obama. But when I enrolled, the school's reputation wasn't quite as glamorous. Sidwell was such a foreign environment. First, there was just so many white people. I mean, they were everywhere. And that wasn't normal. Now, my neighborhood and previous school were all black and Latino, with the exception of 2 white students in my grade, a boy and a girl. The boy's name was William, the girl's name was Wilhelmina. Seriously. I mean, as far as I knew, all white people had the same name. But at Sidwell, I met Patricks and Brownwins and Julius and Felipes. My classroom experience was similarly inverted. At Sidwell, usually I was the only black student in the room, which resulted in me being deputized as some sort of assistant Professor X when anything black were to come into the curriculum. Reading Harriet Beecher Stowe, everybody looks at Baratunde. Watching Eyes Are on the Prize, everyone looks at Baratunde. Science class, learning about black lung, everyone looks at Baratunde. Man, it's as if everyone expected me to carry the knowledge of some sort of Negropedia filled with the answers to all things black for the edification of white classmates. Now,